This is Podcasting Seeds, a podcasting guide for faith leaders in churches. I'm David Kelso, and you're listening to the narrated articles from my email newsletter of the same name. Today's topic, ways for a church to use podcasts other than Sunday sermons. Sermons are often the only podcast a church will have. However, there are a multitude of other formats a church could explore to help the spiritual formation of the flock you've been entrusted to shepherd. I'm aware that the title sounds like a prompt from ChatGPT. I try to only use AI for graphics. I enjoy the creative process of brainstorming ideas and writing, but I'm not that great at visual art. So let's move on to those ideas. Number 1, sermon recap. Put pastors, deacons, leaders, and members in front of some microphone for an hour. Let them have a discussion about that week's sermon. What were their takeaways? Are there other resources to dive into? What are further steps to live it out? Number 2, newcomer training. How many churches have introductory classes to introduce newcomers to the core identity of the church and how they can get involved? Ours is called Discover Us and happens every other Sunday during second service. I could see this being a podcast, public or private, for newcomers to get a feel for who you are as a church. Number 3, devotional. These could be super short and wouldn't require lots of production. You could read an illustration followed by a verse to encourage someone in their day. You could read scripture and play some thoughtful music at the end to meditate with. You could read a prayer and pray over and with your members. Number 4, children's stories. You've heard of Adventures in Odyssey, right? Well, thanks to podcasting, radio dramas, and audio fiction is making a resurgence. What a great way to bring stories to life for your kids' ministry in a cost-effective way. You could do a full production with sound effects and music, or just have the single narrator read it dramatically. Just be careful of copyright. Number 5, testimonials. This could be its own feed or linked in on your sermon feed. I know some people don't love to be in front of people, but would be happy to share their testimony over the phone. A practical way to encourage your community and help people get to know each other. Number 6, stump the pastor. Question and response with the pastor. Could be anonymous to the listener, but the pastor could follow up with people if needed. You could set up a phone call, voicemail box, use one of the many online voice message tools like Google Voice, or just use a designated email. Number 7, men's group. A roundtable conversation by your men for your men, discussing challenges and questions specific to them. Number 8, women's group. A roundtable conversation by your women for your women, discussing challenges and questions specific to them. Number 9, marriage group. A roundtable conversation by couples. Okay, I think you get the point by now. Number 10, young adults group. Copy paste. Insert new noun. Number 11, book club. Got any avid readers in your community? Let them talk round table about the Bible, spiritual resources, fiction, or other media. Offer reviews and thoughts to your other members. Number 12, internal leadership development. Is your team large or growing? Feed them with valuable encouragement and leadership development with a private podcast. It's exclusive for your team. No one else can listen unless they have your link. Number 13, internal volunteer training. Similar to the staff development above, but this could be catered to specific positions like ushers or tech. It doesn't have to be updated on a regular basis, but it can add a personal touch to a training document and give people options for consuming. And number 14, regional church round table. Maybe there's a challenge or a topic affecting multiple church communities in your area. Bring leaders together and have a conversation. I haven't produced something like this before, but in my head, I can hear it coming together. So that's all of them. I wouldn't recommend every idea for every church, so please don't try to do them all. You know your community, so talk to them. What podcasts do they enjoy listening to already? When do they normally listen? What are they normally doing when they listen? Does your team have the capacity to add another thing to their schedule? Ask yourself these questions and more to help figure out your format, how often you're going to do it, the length, and everything for your podcast. Now, I hope this got the wheels turning, but now it's time to put it into action. Pick one idea from the list and outline. Just outline. You don't need to produce it or anything. Just outline how it would benefit your specific community. If you'd like coaching like this, plus episode ideas, Jesus-centered podcast recs, and industry news actually relevant to you, then sign up for my email newsletter, Podcasting Seeds. Get all that a week ahead of time, including a private podcast feed for narrations like this. My goal is to help you make Christ known and cultivate the spiritual development of your community with podcasts. Sign up today and get my free guide to being a great podcast guest, along with some other goodies. Link in the show notes. Thanks for listening.